Welcome back to another revision tutorial with Miss Sweet. Today I will be completing a full walkthrough of the poem Kamikaze, analyzing the poem stanza by stanza. The poem Kamikaze tells the story of a Japanese kamikaze pilot who, moved by the beauty of the natural world and memories of his family, chooses to abandon his mission and return home, defying the cultural expectation of honor through self-sacrifice. Narrated by his daughter, the poem explores the profound consequences of his decision. His family and community ostracize him, treating him as if he were dead. Here is some key vocab within the poem. Samurai is a Japanese warrior. Incantations are spoken or chanted words, believed to have magical or mystical properties, used in rituals, ceremonies, and spell casting. Translucent is semi-transparent. A cairn is a human-made pile, or stack, of stones raised for a purpose, usually as a marker or as a burial mound. Embark means to go on board a vehicle for transportation. Cockpit is a compartment for the pilot. Recounting is remembering. Breakers are waves. Contrast. Flask of water versus samurai sword. The juxtaposition highlights the human vulnerability of the pilot, basic needs like water, against the means of death, the sword. Metaphor, powerful incantations, suggests the pilot's mind is filled with cultural indoctrination, almost as if he is under a spell. This conveys the psychological impact of societal expectations on his mindset. Enjambment, the lines flow into one another without pause, reflecting the continuous and inevitable progression of the pilot's mission. Symbolism, samurai sword, a powerful symbol of Japanese honor and the samurai code, Bushido, reinforcing the cultural expectation of sacrifice. One-way journey into history, symbolizes both literal and metaphorical immortality. Simile, strung out like bunting, compares the fishing boats to festive decorations, symbolizing joy, community, and life. This simile contrasts with the somber purpose of the pilot's mission, further underscoring the allure of life and the ordinary world he is about to leave behind. Tone, the tone here is reflective and tender, created through the soft imagery and the recounting of the story by the pilot's daughter. It emphasizes the emotional pull of nostalgia and familial connections. Symbolism, arcing in swathes, the movement of the fish symbolizes freedom and the continuity of life. The graceful arcs may also represent cycles, hinting at the perpetuation of life, despite conflict. Simile, like a huge flag waved first one way then the other, compares the motion of the fish to a flag, emphasizing their fluid, coordinated movements. The figure of 8 suggests infinity, reinforcing the idea of life's continuity and boundless nature. Alliteration, swathes/shoals/swiveled/sun. The repetition of the S sound mimics the soft, undulating motion of the fish, adding a lyrical quality to the stanza. Alliteration. The repeated use of the B sound in brothers, built, breakers, and boat creates a rhythmic flow that mirrors the movement of the waves and emphasizes the connection between the elements described. Symbolism. Cairns are often piles of stones erected to mark a spot, such as a burial site. In this stanza, the cairns built by the brothers serve as ephemeral markers of their childhood activity, but also hint at the enduring human impulse to commemorate. Cairns' historical association with graves or memorials suggests a connection to mourning and remembrance. This builds a subtle link to the funeral, as the act of creating cairns parallels the later need to memorialize the deceased. Metaphor. The tuna as the dark prince. The tuna is metaphorically described as a prince, connoting nobility, power, and danger. The term muscular, dangerous emphasizes its dominance and the awe it inspires, reflecting the respect humans have for nature's mightiest creatures. Personification. The cloud-marked mackerel imbues the fish with an almost celestial quality, suggesting a connection between the sea and the sky. This personification elevates the natural world, lending it a poetic grandeur. Alliteration. The repetition of S sounds in saltsaden, safe to the shore, and loose silver of whitebait creates a soft, flowing rhythm that mimics the movement of waves and the whisper of the sea. Contrast. The contrast between the adult's cold, silent treatment of the father and the children's continued chatter and laughter highlights the innocence of youth. Pathos. The emotional weight of the father's exclusion, especially contrasted with the oblivious joy of the children, evokes deep sympathy. The phrase "as though he no longer existed" is particularly poignant, emphasizing the cruelty of complete social and emotional erasure. Enjambment. The lines flow into one another without pause. This mirrors the seamless, inescapable nature of the father's isolation, as it spreads from the family to the community. Elliptical storytelling. The stanza omits explicit details about why the father is treated this way, creating a sense of mystery and inviting readers to infer the backstory. This technique draws attention to the emotional and psychological consequences rather than the event itself. Symbolism. Silence. The family's learned silence symbolizes the complete breakdown of communication and emotional connection. It is a metaphor for the father's erasure from their lives and for the suppression of unresolved pain. Existential reflection. The closing rhetorical question elevates the personal tragedy to a universal contemplation of life, survival, and the toll of profound change or trauma. It reflects the deep psychological scars left on both the father and his family.